The weather outside is frightful, but in the gymnasium, so delightful. Let it snow, the winter months have begun. It is time to move to the winter sports season as well. Tip-off tournaments beginning tonight. The winter sports season for basketball here beginning this evening across the county, across western Pennsylvania, and across the state as a whole. Quick little tip-off tournament preview show here at lcsportsnet.com, giving a little brief insight into the teams we're going to be covering here this winter months, and of course with that as well, looking at what the games are this weekend, heading into section play, only a couple of weeks away from the start of section play on the week. I believe it's December 11th and 12th, that Thursday, Friday, the first official section play. So basically 2 weeks from tonight, we will have section games covered, and we will have a couple of games that opening set of nights on that Thursday, Friday covers here at lcsportsnet.com. We want to just get right into it. We'll have a full season preview show coming up in the next couple of weeks before we get into official section play, but just again, a little early taste as you are hopefully tasting today some Thanksgiving leftovers. A happy Thanksgiving again to everybody out there as well. We'll start on the boys' side and work our way from 6A down to Class 1A. Newcastle in Class 6A, defending WPL runner-ups, returning 3 starters, a multitude of players coming off the bench as well. Looking at the team that they got coming back, though, this is a team I think they're expecting to, again, make some impressive waves. Damian Harrison just got better and better over the course of last year, averaged just shy of a double-double. He had a couple of games early in the year that he didn't have many rebounds, otherwise that he would have easily hit that double-double average over the course of the year. But when you have him and Kai Cox and now Marina Graham coming to run the offense there, you expect him to be effective immediately with guys on, Chase Lemon coming and Jaden Schaefer. I think both of them a little bit of a bigger role than what they've had last year. Newcastle is, in my, for sure in the section the team to beat, and definitely one of the top 2 teams expected to make a run to the Peterson Event Center yet again, trying to turn that silver into gold. The Canes will be hosting Bishop Canavan on Saturday. No official tip-off tournament for the Canes coming up. Then they're going to host Kiski Prep on Wednesday, and also will host Knock and Montour before section play begins for the Canes. And keep that in mind too, because the section home games are going to be a little different this year for Newcastle. They're going to be playing their section home games on Monday and Thursday instead of Tuesday, Friday. So make sure Canes fans are paying attention to that calendar for when those games are. Most of the away games, section-wise, will still be on Tuesday and Friday, but all the home games are going to be Monday, Thursday this year, and a couple of doubleheaders in there with the ladies' team as well. Jumping down to 3A, looking at Mohawk, and man, they're, I think, one of the teams you're going to be talking about all year long. Class 3A, preseason ranked number 2 in the Trib Live High School Sports Network rankings, and for good reason. 4 starters back, including the program's all-time leading scorer, over 1,700 career points already for Bobby Fadden. But when you throw in, obviously what Joey Nail and Drew Rona have meant to that team, Vinny Pizzulo became a lightning shooter from the outside. And then I think you're going to have to find who that 5th person consistently in the rotation is going to be, but also who they're going to work in off the bench, a talented core of sophomores and juniors that he's going to have to work through. And you want to know how confident's not the right word, how expecting Mohawk is to have a great year. They're testing themselves early. They're preparing themselves for a playoffs. Look at this non-section schedule. Nothing this weekend, again, kind of like Newcastle, but they're at Blackhawk on Tuesday. They play in the Central Catholic tip-off tournament next weekend, a week from today, against Central Catholic and Penn Hills. They also have non-section games scheduled this year against Avonworth, Deer Lakes, Farrell, and Seneca Valley. So Mohawk, they're preparing big time against some top-notch opponents, getting them ready for playoff basketball. Elwood City, talk about them here in this Class 3A section, as Elwood City's a team that, again, I think is kind of flying under the radar. I'm not going to bet against Coach Bradley anytime soon, and especially when you got Aaron Lake coming back. He's averaged last year 15 points and 11 rebounds per game. He's, again, going to be the major and top scorer, I think you're expecting again. He's going to be the major component for that Wolverines team this year. can they get the consistent scoring from the rest of the crew? Again, a lot of guys like a Michael Cuevas who got more and more time over the course of the year. I think you're going to see a lot of him, and Tyler Smiley more as a scorer this year, more of a role player a year ago. I mean, that's again the key for Elwood City is can they find the depth they've found over the course of last year? Can they do it again here this year, plugging in some new pieces? They host Rochester and Union in their own home tip-off tournament coming this weekend, and also some non-section games next week at Laurel and at Washington before they get going in section play. Real quick, talk about Riverside here in this section as well. They missed the playoffs by just one game last year. A team that is just a grinded-out style of play. That's what they've been the last couple of years. I think they're going to be right on the verge of being a playoff contender here yet again. Riverside will be taking on Perry in the Laurel tip-off tournament on Friday. More about that opening tip-off there at Laurel here in a moment. Jump down to Class 2A, though. Let's start with the defending WPL runner-ups in Union. What a story they were a year ago, just making what was an improbable run as the 8th seed to make it all the way to the finals. They have a lot to replace, including a brand new coach, 2 returning starters. Team is very young. There's no seniors on this roster. They're probably going to have at least 2 or 3 freshmen, probably going to be figuring in the rotation, similar to last year, in all honesty. Not going to be the deepest team for sure are the Scotties. They're gonna be tested. It's going to be a big challenge. Again, when you've had Stanleys in the backcourt for the last 6 years, it's definitely going to be a bit of a change in terms of figuring out who that top scorer is going to be. But Landon Eckert, a big part of that team from last year, averaged double figures a game. He's going to be the main weapon, I think, on the offensive front. He and Jordan Kelly as the returning starters. Union, they travel to Hickory and New Brighton next week. They are part of that Elwood City tournament this weekend, playing against Blackhawk and Elwood City on tonight for Blackhawk, and tomorrow the scheduled game for Elwood City. They also play in a tip-off tournament at Fort Cherry next weekend before their first section game, which also happens to be on the road at Laurel. So they're going to play, I think it's 6 away games, for their first home contest, which is against Western Beaver on December the 16th. The team, I think, is still the one to beat in Class 2A, though, will be Neshannock. Another trip to the semifinals. They just aren't able to, figure out that final step. Has been Neshannock. Will this be the year they can finally make that last step they need to get all the way to a WPIL championship game? Well, it helps when you got a 1,000-point scorer on your roster already coming back in Davey Quat. Averaged 17 points a game last year, did Davey. Again, it's where is the supporting cast going to be? Ashton Allison has been a 2-year starter. You might want to see him more on the offensive front. Gino Mazzocco, again, guys who have just gotten it done grinding it out defensively. Might they have to do a little bit more on the offensive side of things here this year? Same thing I think you can say with a Ryan Cameron as well. There's plenty of talent all up and down this lineup. It's where the points going to come from, especially the points lost from a year ago from guys like Jake Rinn, Talon Anderton, and Tony Parada. That's going to be the biggest key for Neshannock to figure out what kind of season they're going to be able to have. They also put together a pretty tough non-section slate here to start the year. Hosting Boardman on Friday. Their tip-off tournament, the Neshannock tip-off tournament, is next weekend, playing teams with the likes of Ambridge and Mercyhurst Prep. Shenango also in this section, also looking to replace one of their top scorers all-time, or in recent memory at least. Joe Campoli had a great year last year, 18 points a game. He's now gone. Brian Ches in his second year, though. They have a lot of guys back who rotated in and out throughout the course of the year. They were really deep last year. Maybe not in getting the huge points, but in getting the minutes and experience for sure. And one of them being Tegan Russo, a freshman, a sharpshooter a year ago, maybe going to be more involved in all the flow of the offense you expect this year. Plenty of experience, again, between him and lots of others in the underclassmen for this Shenango team. They hosted a tip-off tournament this weekend against Beaver, Franklin, and Grove City, all part of that tip-off tournament going on there at the home of the Wildcats. Laurel's also in this Class 2A section. Coach Locke, well, they're finally going to get out on the basketball court after the long football season. 3 starters coming back from last year. Big pieces, again, from the football team. Lucas Santini, he's the top returning scorer from this Laurel team from a season ago, is Santini. Just shy of 9 points per contest. a year ago. They lost their top scorer from a year ago, but again, I think you're looking at a team, Mason Ernst, Tyler Fuchs going to be playing more heavy roles offensively in this offense, looking to take another step forward, particularly in the scoring department for the Spartans. Laurel will play Sharpsville on Friday in their tip-off tournament, and either Riverside or Perry being the team that they will play on Saturday. And real quick, Coach Marmo and Wilmington up in District 10. A lot of pieces back for that Wilmington Hounds team from a year ago. Again, just trying to take one more step forward as they progress. They return their two leading scorers. Freddie Zatner, 19 points per game. Wesley Vascal, 10.5 per game. Those two are going to be the cogs that really stir the drink early on for Wilmington. They host games, nothing this weekend, but they will host against Portersville Christian on Tuesday and Youngstown's Academy of Urban Scholars on Friday. As we continue on our preseason show, kind of our tip-off tournament show, talking about all the games going on this weekend, we will not have any coverage of games this weekend with video, nor next week. We won't have anything going on in the non-section play. We will jump into the basketball realm, though, when section play begins again 2 weeks from yesterday, 2 weeks from Thanksgiving. We'll have our first broadcast, and that will come girls basketball on that Thursday, that is the 11th, and then boys basketball on the 12th. So let's flip over to the girls' side, and we'll start in Class 5A, working our way down, talking about Newcastle here real quick. Lady Canes, I mean, they do graduate a 1,000-point scorer. Ivriana Boyce, she was obviously a big part of that offense, about 40% of the points scored on the season. But a lot of young talent, again, that were rotating their way in, finding more and more time on the court, and just becoming, I think, a little more confident as the year went along in scoring the basketball. They're going to have to, again, find a way to find some new scorers out there, more than anything, but just, keep progressing one day at a time and get a little bit better each day in practice and each game that they do. Remember, this is a section that features the defending state champions as well, so it's just an absolute juggernaut each and every time that they go out on the court. Speaking of back on the court, shout out, Coach Rankin's back there. Jason Rankin, the former coach at Newcastle, back returning now as the girls coach here for Newcastle. They are part of Laurel's tip-off tournament. Yes, that Laurel tip-off tournament, both boys and girls games on Friday and on Saturday here this weekend. They're taking on Laurel tonight, actually, and Riverside tomorrow for that tip-off. Class 3A, let's start with Elwood City. First off, this Elwood City, or this whole section, I should say, in Class 3A, it's pretty wide open. I mean, Quaker Valley, Mimi Thero, she's a 3A player of the year. They're the favorite to finish first. Olsh is very much expected to be number 2. After that, though, this section I think is pretty wide open, starting with Elwood City coming off of that semifinal run from a year ago. Just a historic run after not winning a playoff game in 40-some years, now being a legit threat. The issue is, you lose 4 seniors, your top 3 scorers from a year ago. How do you respond? Caitlin Kreitzer, Delaney Sturgeon, Kayla Jones. I mean, that right there amounts to 40 of the 50 points per game that Elwood City put up a year ago. Young team, they're going to have to find a way to, again, kind of like what we said with a couple other teams, find some new scoring threats. The defense is still going to be good. The defense is possibly better even, Coach Wise believes. Question is, again, can they find the scoring on offense? Because you're not going to win a lot of games just putting up 20 to 30 points per game. That'll be their biggest key, and they're going to get tested right away playing against Western Beaver and Lincoln Park in their tip-off tournament. That is the Midland tip-off tournament here. Western Beaver tonight, Lincoln Park tomorrow. Mohawk, a team that, again, didn't have many on the roster last year, definitely suffered some bumps and bruises over the course of last season. They're going to keep getting better and better. Second year now with Coach Lindsey Bell. We think they're probably a year away from, I don't want to say relevance, because they will be relevant, but like full relevance, I guess is the best way to put it, as a potential contender maybe for a section title. That championship team in 8th grade, we're going to be having fun watching them coming up through the ranks next year. But you're going to have fun this year, too. Again, you return Gigi Pizzulo, you return Reagan Magno as 2 of the top scoring options for this Mohawk team from a year ago. We'll see, again, the success that they've had on the softball diamond, those 2 in particular, started to carry over a little bit, just in getting a little bit better on the basketball court as well. Throwing to McKenna Stewart as another player who's part of that run and is getting things done on the basketball court as well. Look at the volleyball team. Historic season for them as well. We think that it will start to push into the basketball season this year and try to get them back to where we know they can be and where they have been in recent years. No games this weekend, though, for Mohawk. They do host South Range, Laurel, and Oak Glen high schools all next week. Their first section game is a week from yesterday, or 2 weeks from yesterday, against Riverside. And speaking of the Panthers, give a shout out to Riverside, a familiar name, the new coach there at Riverside. It's John Frustorfer, longtime assistant at Union. Yes, that's the father of Kayla and Kylie Frustorfer, taking over the realm there at Riverside. Lots of new faces there, too. Top 3 scorers all graduating from the Panthers a year ago from that playoff team. So, again, a team that is going to have to find a way to get some new blood in terms of who's going to score the basketball. But, you're going to have a pretty stout defensive team yet again there for Riverside. Talk about stout defensive teams. Let's talk about Class 2A in Neshannock, because it's, I think it's championship or bust. It is probably the best way to put it for Neshannock. Favorites, in my mind and many mind, to turn WPIL 2A silver into gold this year, because everybody's back. Peyton Newman's approaching 1,000 career points. Jaden Nogue, a great scoring option, 11 points a game last year. You have Medor and Bonner in the backcourt. Ainsley Allison, someone who controls the paint. I mean, she had 9 points per game a year ago. They were balanced in that offense. I mean, Newman obviously the top scoring option, but then, between Nogue, Allison, and Medora in particular, and then Bonner as well, all 4 of them averaging between 7 and 10 points per contest. Very balanced in that offense, but the defense even more impressive, forcing on average 20-plus turnovers per game. And there's this person called Grabowski, I believe is how you pronounce that, leading the way. Oh yeah, Luann Grabowski, only 750 some odd wins under her belt. I think it's unfinished business. It's a gold or bust year for the Lancers. And yeah, they're going to be right from the get-go. I think is the best way to look at it. They're going to be out for blood to get back to that championship and bring home gold back to Lawrence County after what they deem as a unsuccessful finish after losing the championship a year ago. They don't get to that unfinished business this weekend. They don't play anybody this weekend in a tip-off. They will play at home against Blackhawk on Monday, and then next weekend we'll be traveling north, taking on General McLean and Fairview in tournaments up next weekend for the Lancers. Also in this Class 2A section is Laurel. Laurel hosted and won a playoff game last year. They returned about 5 or 6 players who were a big part of that team, and again, players who just kept getting a little bit better over the course of the season. Addison Yuri, a player who just got a little bit better over the course of the year, just a freshman, just getting their legs underneath them. A deep team. You're going to see a lot of players coming for Coach Ricky LaRocco, working in a deeper rotation. Again, we expect this year. A year older, I think all those young players taking another step forward, and that's what we're going to watch again, is how do they increase and improve from one year to the next. Second year they're coaching at Laurel. The Spartans host Newcastle and host Union this weekend in their tip-off tournament. They stay local as well. They travel to Mohawk in non-section play early next week as well. Real quick, Shenango coming off of a rough season, only 2 wins a year ago for the Shenango Wildcats. They lose their top scorer as well in Amara DeFrank. Just looking to build this program back one step at a time. Coach O'Hara, again, one step at a time is all you can be trying to do. They travel to Western Beaver and Portersville Christian next week. No tip-off tournament this weekend. They do play in the Carlinton tip-off tournament, do the Cats, next weekend. Class 1A, Union. They're looking for a 4-peat. It's going to be a tough challenge, mainly because down the stretch, or in the section as well, Aquinas Academy, who they beat in overtime in the semis last year, in a tight game. They returned just about everybody. Union graduated 4 seniors from that team. You got Mira Gunn as the lone starter back, but you have Liv Benedict, Maggie Joseph. They saw significant time last season, and Coach Nogue figures all 10 on the roster. Yes, there's only 10 on the roster, but all 10 pretty consistently expected to be rotating into this lineup, including 6 freshmen that all are going to be playing. And you know they love to have the run and gun stout defense, try to get out in transition anytime they can. I think that they're going to actually wear teams out. Only 10 on the roster, but they're all going to play and rotate in. The Lady Scots defense could be something to keep your eye on as this season goes along. Union will be taking on Riverside tonight, Laurel tomorrow in Laurel's tip-off tournament. That Riverside game is a 3 o'clock tip-off, early game there at Laurel today. And next week, they're not afraid to challenge themselves either. We saw it, over the course of these last 3 years. That's why they've been successful. Union will be taking on Hickory and Moon in games going on next week. Finally, Coach Jekovic and Wilmington, they made their second straight trip to the state playoffs last year, trying to take just another step forward and get that first ever state playoff victory. They'll have to do it without their career program leading scorer, over 1,800 points for Leah Crarup, but she's taken her talents up to Clarion. Their depth, though, I think is still there. You still have probably 10 deep at least that you're going to see Wilmington using that depth, using that speed, and using the defense. And I think that's what was underrated, was how stout the Wilmington defense could be over the course of the year. We won't get to see it this weekend for Wilmington, but I do think that we're going to be seeing a lot, especially Melissa Flick. Congratulations. She just got her commitment to Westminster to keep her playing career going. She was a big-time three-point shooter and became more of a consistent scorer down the stretch last year. I think you're going to see her take another step forward as a scoring threat here this season, as well as both Maya and Aaliyah Jekovic. We'll keep an eye on them. Again, not this weekend, but they do play Cochranton and Riverside next week. They will play in Franklin's tip-off tournament beginning a week from tonight. There you have it, the tip-off of our coverage of the 2025-26 winter sports season. We got plenty coming your way, folks. Not only basketball games, again, beginning 2 weeks from yesterday and 2 weeks from tonight, we'll have our first broadcast of basketball games, but we're going to have the unified bocce again going on this year. Actually, I think that first broadcast is even before the basketball game, so stay tuned for that one. We'll have plenty more hockey coverage coming on, including the Wilmington against Neshannock rematch coming up in a couple of weeks before the holiday break as well. We'll have plenty of hockey coverage. We'll be back at the lanes for bowling. We'll have wrestling coming up, including some brand new wrestling programs, including, I believe, we'll be at Mohawk's first ever wrestling match, as they will host Laurel here in a couple of weeks' time as well. All that coming your way. Just covering 5 different winter sports, between boys and girls basketball, the hockey, the bocce, and the bowling. Glad to be bringing it to you, and hopefully you're staying tuned, because we have over 35 broadcasts here coming up in the next 2 months as we go through a winter wonderland of high school sports. Happy Thanksgiving again to everybody. Hope you've enjoyed the weekend. Hope you've enjoyed this tip-off preview show here on the Lawrence County SportsNet, powered by LCAT.